Hey guys, it's Vanessa Panousis here. In this episode of Shooting the Breeze, I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to share a conversation with people who mean so much to me, as well as some of the plans we've been working on to honour my best friend and former teammate, Tiana Mangakahia, who we recently lost after a long and incredibly tough battle with breast cancer. We recorded this episode before the Pink Hoops round in Sydney, and it's a little different to our usual ones. We take the time to reminisce with T's parents, Cynthia and Terei, shout out to the Mangakahia family, and you'll hear just how special and supportive they've been, not only throughout T's battle, but also in helping bring to life the foundation we've been working on to continue her legacy. There are laughs, there are some heavier moments, but most importantly, it's a safe space to talk about our favourite girl, T. So, as we approach what would have been Tiana's 31st birthday on April 21st, we're starting to share more about the Tough4T initiative, something really special that means a lot to all of us. We'd love for you to be a part of it, so stay with us and keep your eyes peeled.
That's a great question because it's interesting. It's an interesting answer because it actually wasn't us who decided to do this. It was Tiana. So after her second diagnosis, she started to talk to those that were really close to her about supporting young women who are going through breast cancer. Some of the experiences that she had were difficult.
Welcome to Shooting the Breeze. I'm Paul Camillos. In this episode, we're talking about the human side of basketball, the legacy side of basketball. We're talking about someone who left an impact on the game and many basketball fans here in Australia and around the world, Tiana Mangakahia. Tiana T was more than just a basketball player. From her time in college, where she hit her strides as a player and then started her fight against breast cancer, to her taking the floor in the WNBL. We were all devastated when we heard she had to step back from playing because this terrible disease had come back. Then we heard from Chris Pongrass that the Sydney Flames and Hoops Capital were standing by her by keeping her involved in the game and the team by having her join the coaching staff while she underwent treatment. This is a testament to the impact she had and what she meant to everyone who knew her. Joining me as co-host on this podcast is Vanessa Panousis, T's best friend. And I want to say we're privileged because joining us to talk about Tiana and her legacy are her parents, Cynthia and Terei. It's great to have you all on the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here to talk.
Ness, I'm going to just throw across to you for a minute first.
Oh, that's not a good idea. Is that a good idea?
It's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Okay, here we go.
So, in those early days in the WNBL and the Flames, you played with T as well.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what was that like?
It was really cool. It was obviously something we had always spoken about, never knew if it was going to happen. So for it to actually happen and come to fruition was really cool. And it was obviously like a dream come true for both of us. So I remember T had signed first and then Shane Hill was the coach at the time. So when I called T, I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to have a meeting with him. And she goes, okay, well, you better sign, standard T, telling me, okay, yeah, you need to do it. I was like, I haven't even spoken to the guy yet. But anyway, so once I did speak to him and, he told me my role and everything for that year, I was pretty happy. And then obviously T being part of that team, that was a big thing as well. So yeah, once it was all signed, still delivered, it was pretty cool. And then obviously her coming down to Sydney and us pretty much living together. She had her own spot, but we were pretty much stuck by each other's side the whole time. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. And obviously, we had you both on the pod before, and then also T was a surprise drop-in on a pod. It was a really interesting look into the dynamic between the two of you. You could tell that you had a really strong friendship and a really strong bond.
Yeah. I'm sure Cynthia and Terei will agree. I think we kind of balanced each other out pretty well. I mean, obviously we're two very chill people, but T had her little feisty side, which I could always kind of calm her down. And then she kind of got me out of, not like my shell. I'm definitely not shy, but she kind of got me out of, I guess we can say shell for now. But yeah, so I think we balanced each other well. We're kind of like a yin and yang. Yeah, it was cool. I think especially like living together as well, we pretty much called each other sisters. So we annoyed each other, we argued with each other, we laughed with each other. I mean, everything that sisters kind of do.
And Terei and Cynthia, I want to touch base with you on this one. Obviously, when she moved down to Sydney and was connecting with Ness on the team and joining the Flames, what was that like for you, seeing her go, from college to now being a professional basketball player?
I knew it was always going to happen.
Yeah. We knew she was going to become a professional basketball player. It's what she wanted. It's what she worked really hard for. And we knew that was going to happen for her. She left home when she was young to go to the Australian Institute of Sport. So she was always very determined to, reach her goals. She got an offer. She was in year 11 and she left. So she left home basically.
That was hard.
Yeah. When she left home.
16. She was 16.
We felt like she was so young to leave home, but we knew it's what she wanted. So really ever since then, and then, she's been home in and out over those years and then going to college, coming back, playing for the Flames and playing some overseas things. I don't think, she was really going to live at home long term. She wanted to do things and she wanted to, explore the world and live her life to the best that she could. So we knew that when she was home with us for these short stints, they were going to be short stints.
At least Sydney wasn't too far.
That was a 10-hour drive. We drove every time.
You guys love the drive.
We drove down.
Yeah, we drove. We loved it. We loved the drive. You're right. We loved the drive. Yeah.
Terei and Cynthia, they love a road trip. So they were pretty much in Sydney. I would say every home game you would try and come, right?
We tried to come.
Yeah.
And we'd drive down.
Yeah. And sometimes I would drive down literally the night before the game and leave right after the game. Like, yeah, this was commitment. This was, I remember it was blowing my mind. I was like, you're really going to come down for one night? Yep.
Yeah. To see T play.
Yep. You guys would do anything for her.
And it wasn't just the two of you, Terei and Cynthia. Sometimes other members of the family would come down, because I remember at one of the Kudos Bank games.
Oh, yep.
There was a large contingent.
All the brothers. It was everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had times where we said to all the kids, we're going down. Does anyone want to come? What's everyone doing? Yeah, and sometimes the whole of us would come down, which was,
whole squad.
A great holiday too.
Yeah.
Not chaotic at all with their Mangakahia family. Not chaotic at all.
This knows us a bit too well, probably.
All smooth sailing. Yeah,
the boys loved Tiana and they all loved basketball. They all played. Every one of the boys played. So, they loved basketball. They loved watching their sister play.
And Vanessa, they loved watching Vanessa play too.
Yeah.
Not much.
Part of the family now, really.
Just those few minutes I was on, but I always heard them. They did. I think it was always Timmy. Just shoot it. Just shoot it, Ness.
Well, I can certainly say that definitely that Kudos game, there was absolutely no question where the Mangakahia family were.
Yep.
Yes, they're very vocal supporters of team. Yes. Whatever team Tiana's playing in, they're 100% in.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that I think a lot of people really don't understand, because a lot of people only ever got to see T playing, and we were lucky enough to get to know T much better. There was a lot more to her character than just what we saw on the floor. So I'm going to start off with you, Cynthia. What were probably the most significant parts of her character that maybe people didn't really understand?
So she was really kind and she really cared about people, and she cared about strangers as well as her friends. She loved her friends, and when her friends needed her, she was there for them. She felt that, I guess this life and the people that we have around us at the time are really important and that we need to all look after each other. So she was very much like that. I have lots of things, Tiana. She's sort of easy to talk about because, she loved board games.
Yep. Loved a board game.
She loved board games, and it might not be something that they see her on the court, but they don't realize she loves sitting around the table, playing a board game, and of course she wants to win. It's always competitive.
Yep.
And so what was the favorite game?
We know her favorite game.
Sequence, or was that?
Sequence.
Yeah, Secret. I was going to say, or was that just a recent one? But now Sequence.
Sequence
Yep.
is her favorite game, her favorite
Yep.
board game. And we played it this Christmas. I guess she loved all sports. So it wasn't just basketball. People probably don't know that either. She loved all sports. She played a game of netball when she was in high school to fill in for a friend who asked her if she would help out. And at the end of the game, someone came over to me and asked me if she could join their A-grade netball team. She was good. And I remember her saying to one of these girls from school, okay, just run me down the rules. Like, what are the rules of netball? Like, we didn't watch netball. We didn't have time. We were always at basketball. And so she got this quick lesson on the rules and out she went. She loved table tennis. She loved table tennis.
She was a champ at that too. Cruise champ.
She's the cruise champ of table tennis. We went on a family cruise January last year, and she entered in the competition, as did all of us and the boys. We all entered it. And she won the table tennis on the cruise. And she enjoyed all sports really. Yeah.
Obviously, a very competitive person, which you could see on the court. But I'm also kind of curious, how competitive was she with her brothers?
Very. Is that even a question? All of them were.
Yeah. I mean, growing up with 5 brothers wouldn't have been easy as the only girl, I'm sure. But very competitive with the brothers. And they all are competitive.
They never took it easy on her either. So it's not like they gave it to her easily. She had to fight for everything, which I guess is kind of how she plays on the court. I guess that's probably helped her in her basketball career.
Yeah.
Having the boys.
Yeah. You had to earn it.
So it seems to me that, family was really important to T.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, as you said, she was sort of like ready to go. It must have been hard being, away from family for extended periods of time.
Yeah, it was definitely hard. She found that probably the hardest thing, being away from me and Terei and her brothers. She found it very, very hard.
I think one thing with T as well, though, like even when she would get put into like an environment, say like away from her, she found really good people around her that ended up being her new family wherever she was. I think like, especially like at Hutch, you know what I mean? Like her coach, the family that she lived with, like she became really close with, you know what I mean? So I feel like everywhere she goes, she finds really good people. And then they obviously like take her under their wing and then kind of become her second family wherever she is. I feel like she kind of did that everywhere she went.
I agree, Ness.
Yeah.
She finds good people.
Yeah.
Tiana finds good people, and she surrounds herself with these lovely, lovely people. She makes them her family.
Which is obviously helpful when you're away from your immediate family. And like myself, she's one that gravitates to good energy. So she knew if they were good people or not,
Absolutely. And Hutch looked after her when she was at Hutch in Kansas, in America. They looked after her, and, the coaches treated her like one of their own children. It was really beautiful. And then when she ended up going to Syracuse, she had people there too that loved her, loved her. She was the media and marketing person. And, she found these people that became her family away from her family. And she found them and she loved them and, did things with them and behaved and acted just like they were her family. Yeah. I agree, Ness.
It would have made you feel more comfortable with the fact that she was so far away, knowing that she had that support network around her?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes all the difference.
I mean, one of the things that would have been incredibly difficult would have been when she was first diagnosed. You guys were here, she was over there. How difficult was that for you?
Yeah, I remember where I was. You know how events happen in the world and you remember where you are, and that time. I know exactly where I was when I heard she rang and told me that news that she had breast cancer. And my first instinct was, come home. I want you home with me. That was my first instinct. And she said to me, I might come home. I just need to talk to the coach. I need to just do a few things, but it looks like I'll be coming home. I said, yep, let's get you home around us. And as it was, because she felt a family, she had a family in Syracuse as well, and Coach Q was amazing to her. He talked to her about staying and having her treatment in America, and talked about getting her back on track again after she had finished her chemo. And she wanted to do it. And she rang me and told me that. And we said, okay, if you want to stay there, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you think is good, we will make sure you've got a family member at every one of your chemo sessions at Syracuse.
She had 8 there, right? Was it 8?
Yeah. So we drew up a calendar and we had a family meeting here in Brisbane, and we asked all the boys, which one of these do you think you could take time off work and go over to America to be with T? And the boys were amazing, and they all went over with their wives and partners, and we took turns to make sure that someone was with her at all of her chemo treatments.
I've got to say, it's the amount of support that she got from Syracuse speaks volumes about how they saw T and what they felt about T. Because college sports is a pretty cutthroat space. And, the fact that they were willing to do that for her, I think it speaks so much about her character.
Yeah, they were incredibly good to Tiana, and, she loved them for that. And I think, when you're 24, Paul, and you're told that you've got breast cancer, and it looks like you're going to have a mastectomy and lose both of your breasts at 24. That's pretty tough. That's tough news for her and for us to hear, because you're just starting your life, you're just starting, and now you've got this big obstacle or hurdle that you have to try and climb over to get to the top, to get to the other side. And, we know it's going to be a really hard journey. And it was hard. It was really hard. And she got messages from people in Syracuse, cards and letters and so many things, vouchers, gift vouchers from that Syracuse community to tell Tiana, we care about you. We're thinking about you. We know you're going through a tough time, but we're here for you. It was beautiful. And she still has the box here with all those cards from all the people in Syracuse who reached out to her.
And one thing with T, I feel like it was like whenever she got given any type of news, whether it was good or bad, it was always like, okay, so what's the solution? How are we going to get this done? All right. It wasn't like, okay, be upset and dwindle and, okay, no, what's the solution? Let's get this thing going. It wasn't, holding on to what was just told. And
she would say, if you need to have a cry, just get it out of your system, whatever you need to do to get it out of your system when we get bad news. And then we're going to find ways to move along with this. We're not going to be in, depression mode. We're going to take it on head on, and we're going
to put a plan together and let's see how we can move forward kind of thing.
We're going to get a plan, and we're going to always be positive about the future. And she was incredibly positive, even so much that, she's planning a trip to Bali.
Seriously.
What was it, 2 weeks before she passed away? I mean, because she was not going to, she wasn't going to let this thing not dominate.
And do things that she wanted to do in life. So
right, she wasn't going to let it stop her from doing what she could do. And if she could do it, she was going to give it a good try.
Yeah.
You're right, Ness. It wasn't until, those moments towards the end where she sort of said, okay, I need to start preparing for what might happen here.
It's also, I think, a testament to you guys and obviously the boys as well, her character and her positivity and everything that she had to go through. I mean, you guys were her rocks through everything, the good and the bad. So you guys also deserve a massive, massive pat on the back. And obviously I know it's your daughter and you would do anything for her, but I think it kind of gets overlooked sometimes because families aren't really like that these days either. Like, you know what I mean? It is very rare that the whole family is really behind one of their girls. So I think it's a big testament to you guys.
Oh, thanks, Ness. That's lovely. And of course, you know, Ness, we can't really go too far without saying how incredible you are, Miss Vanessa Panousis. Yeah, you're pretty awesome, Ness, and you were with her for it all too, and we appreciate that. And, you know, we're really grateful that you were a part of her life.
You guys are my second family now. You're stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck with you guys.
I was going to say, you're stuck with us, Ness. That's probably a bigger statement.
And Chip in the background, of course.
There's Chip in the background, who is Tiana's dog,
He had to make his presence felt.
because, you know, she loved Chip, and she wasn't really, she loved all dogs. She loved pets. She loved animals, but, you know, Chip was a really special dog to her. She picked out Chip as a puppy and really loved him.
What sort of dog is he?
He's a cavoodle.
A cavoodle.
And now Terei's in charge. How's that going, Terei?
Oh my good.
Tiana gave her dad the car and the dog.
Oh, yeah. How's the truck going? The tank.
It's going really well. But
That's
I
good.
don't know if I would, I'm not going to say anything about it. It might be negative.
Uh-oh.
It uses a lot of fuel. But I have to tell you, Paul, I don't like board games.
You don't like board games.
I'm just putting that out there now because Cynthia makes it sound like we all loved it. I'm not a board game player. I loved watching them play, but I did not enjoy playing. But I tricked her. I tricked Cynthia into believing that I was so I could marry her.
The things you do.
After years of marriage, 40 years nearly, 40 years we've been married soon.
Wow.
I thought I'd come out and tell her the truth, and I don't play board games anymore. Do I?
He doesn't play board games. And I said to him, hang on a minute. We played backgammon every night when we were first married for years.
Yeah, he had to get you somehow, Cynthia. It worked.
Tiana did love games, and she especially loved putting me on YouTube or TikTok or whatever
Oh, here we go.
while I wasn't watching, or even Brandon would do it, her youngest brother. But eventually I really did enjoy that. That was a really fun part of our life, you know, when she would put me on TikTok.
He went viral. Tell him.
I had to act out being Tiana. I think that was one of them.
Yep.
And what else did I have to do? I had to, she'd tour through the house, and I would sit in every room. So every room she went into, there I was, either lying on a bed or sitting on the toilet, or, you know, with clothes on, standing in a shower. So she had this mischievous sort of personality where she liked to play games. She even came home one day and told Cynthia that she put the car into the mechanic. The mechanic said the only problem was the wheels, and she filled it. He put air in, and it cost her $100. Was it?
Oh, that's right.
Tires.
Now the tires, put air in the tires, and it cost what?
I don't know. I think she said, I think this was something that.
Yeah, it was a trend. It was a trend.
That's right. It was a trend, but I didn't know because I don't keep up with it.
Yeah.
And so she comes home and says, yeah, they only charged her $100 to put air in the tire. And it took me a minute to register what she'd said.
Yeah, and you got angry. We've got to go back to that. We've got to go back to the mechanic. That's the same thing.
And I'm trying to work out which one it was. But she
loved playing these games.
Yep.
The thing that I loved about Tiana, though, was that even though she was going through all of this illness and sickness, when she was in Syracuse, she played with a port? A port in her. She would go to the stadium where all the students were playing basketball, and she would play pickup. And we'd be sitting on the side thinking, oh, don't hit that port, don't hit that port. But she wouldn't give an inch. She would play as hard as she could, and the boys would play as hard as they could against her.
Yeah, Yeah,
They loved her. These students, male students loved her because she was like one of the boys.
it was like fun muck around basketball with randoms that really liked basketball, and she would do that.
When she was in New York, she looked out the window of where she was staying and saw a game of basketball down in the park, and off she went.
Yeah.
Got down there to play a game of basketball. She was a baller.
Yep.
She loved playing it, and she loved it if it was hard, and she got knocked over, and just picked yourself up. And yes, she did get that from her brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And she could adjust. Like if she went down to the park and people still wasn't that great, she wasn't really a show off.
True.
Yeah, she would pass the ball a lot, and she would be one of that team, whatever skill level they were at. But she loved that as well.
So something amazing happened the other day. I was walking along the footpath here, walking chip, and two parents walked up to me, and they knew Tiana. I didn't know them really. They told me that their 37-year-old daughter, I think she's 37, had just been told she had triple negative breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
They knew me better than I knew them, and so they told me that.
I think the younger daughter played with Tiana.
The youngest daughter played with
So this
Tiana.
mother knew Tiana.
But the father said to me, see, what happens is you forget. And I remember feeling exactly the same way as him. He said to me, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know this is really hard to cope with. And that's what I went through when Tiana told us. And I don't remember where I was. Where were we?
I remember exactly where you were, babe.
When? In bed.
We were in bed.
Yeah, I just rolled over. I have this thing of when it's negative, I just roll over to the other side and put my head under a pillow and try and cope with it. And this poor family are now going through that. And that's why I think it's really important that Cynthia and Vanessa and Mary put together this foundation, so that they can try and help some of these people cope. It's horrible to say, but we're out the other end, even though we can't go into her room and put her stuff.
Really?
No, we haven't done it yet. No.
You might need to come up and do it, Vanessa.
I can definitely come up there. But, I mean, it might be a team effort, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also is no right. You know what I mean? Everyone does it at their own pace and whenever they're ready. So don't feel like you guys have to do it.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Take your time and whenever you guys feel like it's the right time.
There's things that are happening in the world now that are mind-blowing that are going to help people with cancer, especially this type of cancer. And we missed out on it.
But we
don't want them to miss out on it. That's what I'm saying.
Lots of research is happening all the time, and we feel very confident that one day there'll be a cure. But there won't be a cure unless we still do some research and keep learning about, this disease and how we can A, prevent it, or early detection can prevent it, B, have a cure for it.
Yeah.
So, we still feel that, there's going to be a cure. There's lots of amazing things happening in the world in medical science, and even leukemia, they're doing some great work with leukemia now.
Blood cancer.
Blood.
94%.
When we would go to doctor's appointments and you guys would do research, there was always a lot of options for treatments, even outside of Australia, that you guys would find as well. So hopefully that stuff kind of comes here and, becomes a little bit easier to get access to.
But T was very proactive, very proactive.
Yeah.
We had a sauna here, red light sauna. We've got a red light sauna here at home, an ice bath here at home. She was very proactive at looking at ways to help medical science work with the body. So the treatment she was having, she used to say, if I can do something to help these treatments be more effective in my body, then I want to do that. So she, tried lots of things to try and help her own body heal itself along with medical science.
One of the things that you touched on, and I really do want to kind of get into this a bit, is about the foundation and what you want to achieve with the foundation. Give us a rundown on what the foundation is, where it's at, and what its purpose is.
So the Tough4T Foundation is basically to empower and uplift women who are under the age of 40 who've been diagnosed with breast cancer. That's sort of the broad banner I guess there's some other things about raising awareness, advocating for the needs of young women who are affected, promoting health, well-being, life fulfillment as people are going through their breast cancer journey, and providing some sort of support or assistance to improve the quality of life of women who've been diagnosed with breast cancer.
When did you guys decide that, you wanted to go down this road with establishing the Tough4T?
That's a great question because it's interesting. It's an interesting answer because it actually wasn't us who decided to do this. It was Tiana. So after her second diagnosis, she started to talk to those that were really close to her about supporting young women who are going through breast cancer. Some of the experiences that she had were difficult in that when we went into a hospital, if she was with me and if she had her hair or had a wig on, everyone thought it was me who had breast cancer as we walked up to the counter. The majority of people are older that, are diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was young and she was sitting in rooms of all people that were what I would say she would consider old. So everyone was basically 50 or older. And I guess when you're in your 20s, that age seems old. So she started to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the main things, and you would agree with this, was obviously some of the difficult things that she encountered and saw. For example, like the costing of parking for all the appointments that she would have to go to. And then she would always say, how are people affording this? Especially they're my age or they're even younger. And she could sometimes have 2 or 3 appointments a week.
Mm.
And like me and Cynthia, we've spoken about this. It's they would try and validate it and bring the cost down a little bit, but those little things kind of add up. So I think one of the main things she was like, I want to kind of make a foundation and then obviously focus on making parking for patients cheaper or free in general.
Yeah.
Things like maybe some grocery vouchers, some Woolworths vouchers.
Mm.
Obviously, if you get diagnosed with such a disease, going to work full time can be difficult. You might have to take some time off. And like I said, we've spoken about this. If you're older, you may have some money saved up, some superannuation that you can kind of use. But when you're younger, you don't really have a lot of that money available. So what are you meant to do? You're relying on some government help, which isn't a lot of money anyway, to kind of get by, or you're relying on family members. And, it's just another stress that they have to think about that is kind of unnecessary. They have enough on their plate to begin with. So that's the mindset and the thought process that she was kind of going through, what she wanted to include in this foundation.
Yeah. And she would talk to us about these things, and she felt for people that maybe didn't have the same support network that she had.
The Queensland system, well, I know Sydney, New South Wales system is pretty close too, but what happened was Tiana got to have an oncologist, she got to have a nurse, and she's got these 2 people there without 80 people sitting around her.
Yeah.
You go in, there's 80 people sitting inside that waiting room. And then there's this one young girl who's 29 sitting there. There has to be a system where these young girls get a little bit more. I know everyone deserves to be looked after, but what Sydney did with Tiana was amazing. Amazing. And if the foundation can help with that, that would be amazing.
Terei's thinking about changes in systems and systemic change.
Well, I got banned, didn't I? The oncologist got upset with me because I was asking too many questions. She said,
well, that's right. That's right.
He called up Tiana and said, I think your dad should stay home and you come in here. Because I was like, gosh, come on. And then we meet Jeremy and Peter, and it's like, what?
They were unbelievable. Those 2 humans, yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that that's a big picture for the foundation.
Yeah. You've got to start small and then spread out.
I love that. And I think, making some systemic changes so that these young people that are diagnosed with breast cancer have other young people when they go to appointments, other people that are in the same sort of sphere as life as them around them, for support. That'd be.
Do you know the oncologist's name in Boston, that Tiana, the female lady? She was the world-renowned.
Oh, yeah, wasn't she highly, Dr.
Partridge.
Partridge. And she basically told Tiana that this would take her life eventually, didn't she? His cancer. So,
But she was very, very positive, Terei. Tiana really liked her. She was very positive, and she'd helped some people who had gone through chemotherapy.
but for young women, it's such an aggressive thing to have cancer.
Don't have good outcomes. That's what you're saying, Terei.
Yeah, it's not a wonderful outcome.
The percentage of outcomes for young people with breast cancer are not good.
Especially the type she had.
And we need to keep working, researching to try and improve the outcomes
I'm all for that.
for young people.
And
you've got to start small, don't you, in a foundation and work your way up. I mean, I'm sure Brow started that way.
Yeah, and I'm curious, who is involved with the foundation at the moment?
Yeah, so Terei is actually the president of the foundation.
Oh, yeah,
Big president, big prez.
Presidente. And so we have an incorporated association at the moment. So Ness and I are on that, as well as Mary, who is a very, very close friend of Tiana's and a good family friend. She lives across the road from a basketball stadium where Tiana was in her junior years at Spartans. And so Mary and Tiana are very, very close, as well as there's a few of the boys, my sons, that are on the committee as well. So we're the committee. We have what we call friends of the committee, who are people in the community, some basketball, some not basketball, who know Tiana, who support her. And one of those is Hoops Capital, who have been incredible, absolutely incredible support from them to Tiana and the difference that she wants to make in the world, and they're helping with that.
It's good to see that the basketball community and the wider community are rallying around the whole concept of the foundation. Kind of curious what sort of a timeline you're hoping to be able to kind of grow the foundation and roll out to the wider community.
At the moment, we're waiting for ACNC approval of a charity, which might take another month or two to come through. So we're just getting, I guess, all our ducks in a row. So that when we get that approval from the ACNC, we are ready to go. And I think once that happens and we're ready to go, Hoops Capital will be a large part of that for us, as well as we would like to extend that to, the NBL teams in Australia and try to get a pink round, for every team, just like Sydney Flames and Kings are doing a pink round. We would love to see that happen across Australia.
I think it's also important that we kind of start with the basketball community. Obviously, basketball being such a big part of Tia's life and obviously the respect that she has in that community. So I think that's the best way for us to kind of get, the help and support that we want for this foundation. And I'm sure they are going to really jump on board with it. But yeah, it's crazy how there isn't a pink round in the NBL and the WNBL.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's wild. And I remember Tia would always be like, how is there not a pink round? Because in other sports, you see it, So I think that's going to be a really big step for the foundation.
And that's why T started the pink round. She was a player then.
Yeah.
The first round, she was a player, and the other two, she was a coach. So this will be the fourth round for Hoops Capital, Sydney Flames and Kings doing a pink round. I mean, really, they're champions. They really are champions. Everyone that works in that organisation is incredibly amazing people. And the fact that they're doing this and supporting breast cancer in this way is incredible. And we would love that to spread so that everyone has one of their rounds of WNBL and NBL is a pink game.
So if there are people who are listening who want to get in touch or who are interested in knowing more, how do they do that?
Yeah, so we are going to have a website. We're actually developing it at the moment. On the website, they can go in, they can look us up. There'll be phone numbers they can ring. There'll be ways to donate. There'll be merchandise that they can buy. Whichever way a person feels comfortable, if they want to be involved, there'll be a volunteer section. We're also going to have ambassadors. We've had a few of the girls that Tiana coached come forward and say, I really want to be involved. They've done a few things for us already. So on the website, we're going to have all of those options for people who want to be involved, however big or small they feel comfortable with. We're happy for that.
And obviously, if there are any corporates out there who are listening, if they're willing or if they're wanting to get involved with sponsorships and so on, even prior to the website being available, how would they go about doing that?
Yes, we are going to be welcoming any corporate sponsorship.
He's like, okay.
Okay, so
Now we're talking.
all right, so what we just send them your way, Ness, or
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I can send you my BSB account number. We do have an email as well.
We have an email. We would encourage, if a big corporate sponsor spoke to me today, I would say to them, yes, if you wait until we get this ACNC approval, it'll be able to be, deductible in tax, which I think is a good thing. So I would say to them, just keep that sponsorship there, hold it for a little while, and don't spend it or do anything with it. Just put it to the side, and we'll contact you as soon as we get the green light.
Okay.
So they can contact me, they can contact Ness, they can contact Mary. We're the three sort of main ones at the moment.
And Mr. President.
Presidento.
El Presidente.
And I suppose the other big question is, you guys must have like a long-term vision for what you would like the foundation to be, a few years from now. What would they be?
Yeah. Go on, you answer this one, Ness.
Okay. Well, it was so funny. Me and Cynthia were talking about this earlier. So obviously nationally, I mean, like we said with the NBL, WNBL, we want that pink ground. And obviously it doesn't have to be just with basketball. Eventually, maybe with other sports as well, netball, if there's cricket, obviously yes, there's the pink ground for the Glenn McGrath test, but different sports, rugby league, would be a big one. And then potentially to travel internationally, we were saying, obviously, to start with Syracuse, where T played at. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to get around it if we reach out to them. They can have a pink game in honor of T. And then for it to trickle down to potentially the ACC, which is the conference that Syracuse are in, and she played in. I remember when she got first diagnosed, the ACC made a beautiful video, and T loved that. That was one of her favorite videos that they made for T, just wishing her all the best in treatment and stuff. So I think for it to go through the ACC and then hopefully countries that she's played in, so France, Russia, and if some of those teams can kind of have some pink ground. So I think that would be probably the 5-10 year goal to get to that.
At one stage, Tiana while she was in Syracuse, she was about to run a pink golf tournament, which the Syracuse men's coach, he was just so famous, but I can't remember his name, and his wife. His wife invited all these really big golfers to come along and play in it, but it snowed.
Oh, really?
It snowed, yeah. And so, and that was part of her assessment too. She was doing it as part of her assessment. But she could go to a few cancer seminars that were huge. Millionaires were invited only, and to raise money. And they wanted Tiana to eventually speak at it, but Tiana was not very good at speaking in public like that then. It took her a while to become really good at it.
Yeah. She'd be run away from the media. If any media came, she'd run away. And then she ended up loving the media.
Yeah.
Loving speaking. It's funny, isn't it, how that can happen sometimes.
But that was the wife of the coach at...
Jim Boeheim.
Had a bit of an interest in it even then about giving back to the community. She sort of had that ethos in her mind earlier on even.
I'd love to have Caitlin Clark come over.
Well, she got her signature on her phone, remember? On the phone case.
She's got friends over here.
Tiana really liked the way Caitlin Clark played.
Yeah.
Yeah, she met Caitlin Clark at one time, but she liked the way she played. We'd love it. We'd love to if the Tough4T Foundation could bring someone over to Australia like Caitlin Clark and do a big exhibition game and all the money goes to, breast cancer. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's big sort of vision
Hey, we've got some big
ideas.
Guys, it sounds like a really exciting opportunity to be able to try and bring the sporting community, the basketball community together to be able to do something. It's something big for people who are suffering and fighting breast cancer. And I think, being able to have a foundation that can bring all of that together and focus in on these goals is something that's really, really important. And, certainly anything that we can do from Shooting the Breeze, we'd be more than happy to be able to help out in any way we can.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That's lovely. It's lovely.
I mean, even doing this podcast really is a big help for the foundation. I think just being able to talk about it, obviously we've had our little meetings, but to publicly say it, I think, you guys have been a massive help for it already. So,
yeah. Agreed.
We got to know Tiana a little bit, and she was a wonderful person to talk to. Fierce competitor on the court. And the way she stepped into that coaching role as well, the opportunity that Hoops Capital gave her, showed that she had this whole other part to her character and personality that fitted into that role as well. So, being able to do something like this to be able to build that legacy for her, I think is just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'll always have legacy with us.
She will for us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, Cynthia Terei. It's just such a pleasure to be able to talk to you and also be able to get this whole other view of Tiana that a lot of people probably were never aware of. And I really want to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk to you.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
What a pleasure it is to talk to you, Paul.
See you down in Sydney.
Yeah, you definitely will at the Pink Round. And Ness, as always, it's great having an opportunity to talk to you, and also especially being able to talk to you about tea and about the foundation as well.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. Loved it.
Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you get our latest pod. And we really appreciate if we could get a like and a review so we can extend the reach to more listeners. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn.